Well, with the sound of a gavel, the 2015 legislative session came to a close Wednesday.
Indicate by voting aye. Those opposed, no. We are adjourned.
Lawmakers passed a 2-year budget just minutes before their midnight deadline, and in the waning hours before, they approved several other key measures that would have implications for Hoosiers across the state. The next day, Republicans declared the session a success.
As I look back at what we thought our primary goals were just 6 months ago, I can honestly say that despite everything that has happened over the last 6 months, we were able to accomplish all of those goals in great part.
And the governor agreed. Nearly everything that was on his agenda gained approval, including creating a new energy efficiency program and funding an economic plan known as the Regional Cities Initiative.
I really came to the conclusion that encouraging cities across the state of Indiana to think regionally and to plan regionally could have a transformational effect on our economy in the long term.
But Democrats weren't nearly as pleased. Even as the session was going on, they stood up one by one to oppose bills they say were pushed through with no consideration for the minority party's views.
It's going to be hard for me to vote yes on this.
You're basically voting for 2,000 to 4,300 premature deaths.
The results have been meek and meager.
Even though you feel mission was accomplished, I don't feel like it was accomplished because there was no common ground.
But one by one, those measures were approved. One major piece of legislation that passed was an education bill that removes the state superintendent as the chair of the Board of Education. Another was a needle exchange program aimed at preventing HIV epidemics. We'll get to those later in our program. But first, State House reporter Brandon Smith is here to explain some of the other major legislation. Brandon, let's start off with the budget. Of course, they craft a budget every 2 years. What stood out in this one?
Well, one of the major components of the budget this time around was criminal justice funding. Now, over the past several years, the legislature has been crafting an overhaul of the state's criminal code. That took effect last year. And as part of that effort, they're driving more offenders to local community corrections programs. So this year's budget drives a lot more money to local community corrections programs, about an $80 million increase, while the Department of Correction for its state prison system only got a very small increase to kind of reflect where we are in that. Another one that was a bit of a surprise in the budget was the governor's Regional Cities Initiative, which we heard mentioned a little while ago. That was a surprise because it looked like that wasn't going to be fully funded at all, but lawmakers decided to use a tax amnesty program to fund the full $84 million for that.
Now, there's still one bill whose fate is still up in the air, and Governor Pence said he's not sure whether he's going to sign it yet, and that's the gaming bill. Yeah,
the controversy here really focuses on the issue of live dealers at the state's 2 racetrack casinos, or racinos. The governor has made it very clear that he is opposed to that concept. So what the bill does is it says that the racinos can ask for live dealers, but they can't do it until March of 2021, which would be after Governor Pence, if he wins a second term, would have left office. The question is whether he wants to even sign any piece of legislation that has any mention of those.
Let's not forget some of the other legislation that passed, the common construction wage, that eliminates that minimum wage construction for projects that's been in place for 80 years.
Right. The idea here is, as the authors of the bill to repeal it say, if you eliminate these wages that they feel are artificially inflated, that cities and counties will have more money to do more projects. But it also, the law that they passed repealing it, also put in some new requirements in place to make sure that the contractors, the companies that are doing these public projects aren't hiring unqualified workers. Here's how Senate President Pro Tem David Long kind of summed it up.
With the efforts to raise the quality of the bidding process, to make sure that the contractors are of the highest quality, with experience, carrying the lines of insurance they need to carry, and penalizing them for not doing it, making sure they can't pay cash to their employees, making sure that these standards go down several levels to the subcontractors. I think we'll see that, in fact, the bidding process is high quality, that the contractors will be high quality, and that wages will be solid.
But construction workers opposed this, and actually I think you were even surprised at how many people came out to protest. What about a couple thousand?
Yeah, it was at least a couple thousand. It was the biggest crowd of protesters we saw over any issue this session. And it's important to remember it's not just the sort of blue-collar workers that came out for this one. As one Democrat put it, it's not the guys in the hard hats, it's the guys in the suits that were making their voices heard. It's the business owners, it's the contractors. They're worried about lower wages for their workers and more competition from out of state.
There was also a bill that creates a new kind of energy efficiency program. What does that entail?
Well, after the legislature eliminated the old energy efficiency program last session, the governor kind of demanded that they create a new one and put together a package for them to do that. What it says is utility companies need to have energy efficiency programs, but it lets the companies themselves set the goals, and it also lets them recover any revenue they lose when customers use less energy. And that's led to a lot of environmental and consumer advocates saying, well, this bill doesn't really help anybody.
And we have to talk about RFRA. Is this something that is what this whole session is going to be remembered for?
It depends a little on who you ask. I think the conventional wisdom is yes, this will be the RFRA session. Republicans say that while it overshadowed things for a couple weeks, it's starting to fade, and the other accomplishments that they passed will win out in the end. But Democrats say the damage is already done here.
You said there was a fix, but it's not the end.
It's not the end, certainly no. First of all, you have Freedom Indiana, who is the organization leading the opposition to RFRA, who has come out and said that they're going to be back next session asking the legislature to protect LGBT Hoosiers in the state civil rights statute. On the other side of this, you have a group called the Indiana Pastors Alliance. They rallied at the State House last week, and they feel betrayed by lawmakers over RFRA. Pastor Ron Johnson, who is the head of the Pastors Alliance, say they won't back down from this whole issue.
We are attempting right now in America to create sexual sins and turn them into civil rights. This is anathema to people of faith. We will not tolerate this. We have been painted into the corner already. That's why we're here. We're sick of it. We're not going away.
Okay, thank you very much, Brendan. Get some rest.
Thanks, Joe.